Good afternoon. Today, salvage operations continued with 22 salvers being on board the Rena. The first team that went on board undertook safety inspections, and it was mainly around gas monitoring. So they undertook a complete gas survey of the confined spaces. After the vessel had been closed up for that period of time, they wanted to make sure that there are no noxious gases in confined spaces. This also flows through from now after a number of days of hot weather. Some of the containers are starting to smell a bit with decomposing material. So what they wanted to do is make sure the work environment was safe. Once that survey had been completed, they then had the other teams coming on and they were undertaking a number of tasks. Firstly, they were centralising a lot of the lubricating oils and other oils in the engine room and putting those into a central tank. They were also taking and removing the bilge water and oil mix, which is a swap mix, into another tank so that they can easily pump those out of there and into one of the other vessels. They have sent the Go Canopus back into port, and that was to get on tank containers onto the back deck and also to get the 4 and 6 inch hose. And you remember that the 4 and 6 inch hose goes from the vessel across into either the Awanui or the Go Canopus. That will come back on site. The Awanui arrive back on site at 14:30, and once they have things set up, they'll be able to receive oil today with like everything going well. On the other side, they've had dive teams working in the starboard passageway. You'll recall that this is underwater, and the first part that the teams were doing is working on that bulkhead that they have prepared. This bulkhead's a plywood, and they cut it in plywood so that you can actually cut it around all the pipes and all the irregular fittings. And then what they do is they seal it around there, and it's reinforced with angle iron. But once they've got that in place and closed off, they can pump out the water, and then they'll weld another plate in behind it. With the recent fracture that's occurred and buckling of the plates, they're a little bit concerned that if that crack propagates more, then they could lose the structural integrity of that corridor at the other end. So one of the things that they're thinking about doing is they will probably need to, once they've pumped it out, place and weld steel plates to close off that section of the corridor. In order to make things and be able to pump the oil out a lot quicker, they've decided that what they'll do is they will do a method called hot tapping. When they hot tap, they place a flange and bolt a flange onto the deck in the corridor in here. So they'll place this big flange on it, and that has a series of pipes attached to it. They then use that, through that flange, they will cut right through the deck, which is about 2 inches thick, and then they're able to start using that to extract oil out. Now there are other pipes that go right down from around here, right to the very base of the tank, which is one how they take the level of the fuel. And what they'll do is they'll push water down that, and they'll put it in so that the oil floats up, and then they can extract the oil off the top. This is a much slower process than actually putting the large pumps into the system, but what it means is that while they're securing this corridor, they can actually get in and start removing oil. Once they've got rid of, and then they can make sure that they have that corridor secure, they're able to do these pumping operations with the hot tap by divers, and then they'll continue pumping it out, and then if they finish doing that, they can take the cap off, the manhole cap off, and use the larger pumps to extract the last bits of it. I'll hand over to Andrew Berry now.